Okay, well, welcome back. It's Monday night. Welcome to Looney's Brew here out on beautiful Rainy Lake, Rainier, Minnesota. Mike Bolstead here with the Boly and Ringer show. Ringer hasn't shown up yet, so I got my brother Gerald Bolstead to show up tonight. We're going to talk a little girls hockey and kind of get an idea of what's going on with the program. And welcome, Gerald.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah.
We got a great view. We're looking out on Rainy Lake. Everybody should come out here and check this out. It's a great view.
Yeah, it's going to turn a lot of heads this summer, Gerald. I think I'm going to hang out here a little bit. We got a pretty good audience tonight. It's a little vocal. That's good. Probably 8 to 10 people here right now. Probably going to grow as we talk. But what's going on with the girls' hockey, Gerald?
Well, the numbers are kind of struggling right now, and we're trying to do a few things to pick it back up. And I think we're on the right track. Funny, I got my first reply back on, we're doing a clinic this summer, and we got our first reply back. And actually, you know who it was your granddaughter Quinn.
Oh,
so yeah, that's pretty fun and it's exciting. So my niece is going to be partaking in the clinic, but we're trying to run a free clinic this summer during the summer hockey clinic, and try to get some interest back in there. I think one of the biggest problems is just, you know, the kids just aren't really knowing how to start playing hockey, and you know, there's a misnomer that the expense is a little too high, and so we're doing things to try to get it back.
Okay, going back to the whole situation and why you're doing this, the numbers obviously are low from, as we call it in boys hockey, similar to girls. They have 14U, 12U, 10U. I don't think there was any of that this year. I guess that would be where the problem is, Gerald.
Well, it started about 5 years ago, and we were trying to run a few things to try to pick it up, and we haven't had much luck, and we're going to try something different. But yeah, it's definitely, my program's got great numbers in the high school group, but you know, the 12U, 14U, 10U, 8U, we have nothing really. There's a few kids playing with the boys, which is unfortunate, but hopefully we can rally and get it going again.
So what kind of, I mean, we got probably 6 or 7 right now. Maybe some other kids are playing in Fort Francis. What are we trying to do here? Get about 10, 15 kids playing girls hockey this winter?
Well, ideally, we'd like to get about 4 or 5 from each age group to start playing, you know, down in the lower levels and build it back up. You know, I don't care what the kids do as long as they're doing something. If they're not, you know, if they're not playing basketball, play hockey. If they're not in figure skating, if they're not in dance. But you know what you don't want them to do is sit on their computer or play on their phone all day long. That's not healthy, and they need to get out and be active and do something. So hopefully, and I know that a lot of kids, I know the softball program, the success they've had is really struggling with numbers right now too. So it's not just girls hockey.
Well, where it's not struggling at is dance. I went to Quinny's dance recital. Boy, that's Darcy Schultz. Do you know Darcy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't really know her. I just have met her. I know Jay. But what a program she's running. Maybe you could contact Darcy, because that was fun. I've never been to anything, not to change subjects, but this dance stuff that they had at over the weekend at Bacchus was a lot of fun. There had to be 100 girls out there, Gerald. Maybe she could help you out with some numbers.
Yeah, maybe she could do the recruiting for us to get the kids to come out and play hockey. You know, she does run a great program. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and that's all healthy stuff, and I'm glad the kids are at least doing something. Like I said, what I don't want is just have them sit around doing nothing. They got to be active. They got to get out, you know, mingle with other kids their age, and that's all part of growing up.
Yeah, and Darcy, again, I don't know you real well. I just want to give you some kudos, a little shout out to you. You run a really good dance stuff, and what I noticed about it is all the girls were smiling up there, and they all had glows on their faces, and what you're doing is really good because the kids are enjoying it. Looks like they want to dance as many times as they want and or can, and I can tell that you've taught them. You just don't have them show up and they go through a bunch of little dance routines and the disco and what have you. But these kids, when they're going off the stage, they're all looking at the crowd. Well, that's taught. You don't, you know, these kids are shy and a little within, and they're not going to go be so active. What's that?
Is the mic on?
Yes. Yeah, and then so I give her a lot of credit. She coaches, so maybe some lessons learned here. I know she's tough on the kids, runs discipline because you can tell that's in there too. But good job, Darcy Schultz. Pretty good stuff. Let's move on. Gerald, coaching now, 7, 8 years? How long?
You're going on 8. Yeah.
You're like a dinosaur right now. I mean, coaches nowadays, and I'm reading it every single day in the Minneapolis Star Tribune and just through the rumor mills on Twitter that coaches continually get to be pressured out in all sports. It just isn't hockey. Hockey's probably the most prevalent of the sports, but coaches are getting thrown around everywhere. And what are you doing other than probably you're fair and you're consistent to keep all these parents off your back? I guess I shouldn't bring bad luck to you, but you're doing something right.
Well, first and foremost, I've been very fortunate. I've had great parents, and so I haven't had to put up with a lot of the stuff that I know the boys, and not just here, but other programs have had to put up with. And so, I don't have kids that feel entitled, and I think that's always an issue. And parents that feel their kids should be entitled, I lay it on the line right away at the beginning of the year, and I have every year, and I basically say, here's the deal. If you have a problem with your kid as being a child and there's some issues going on, call me, I'll address it or I'll help address it. If you have a problem with your kid's playing time or not being on the power play, don't bother, I'm not going to talk to you. I have better things to do. I have a great coaching staff that handles a lot of that and helps me handle that. I don't need parents telling me how to coach. And I've stuck to that since I started 7 years ago, and it's worked very well.
Why, great point. I mean, I tried that. It doesn't work. Open door policies and stuff like that. It's maybe it's just different, but I think you're doing an amazing job with that because I ran through it. It's very difficult. It's there's no more Willard Eikelas, no more Larry Rosses, Hendrickson. Look at all the Iron Range coaches that coached for 20, 30 years.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you're not going to see that anymore. Your girls hockey, you had your banquet. You got a whole bunch of kids coming back. I think it's a state tournament team. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think we're going to be one of the teams to beat. Of course, Proctor's going to probably recruit the crap out of the Duluth area this year, so they'll be good again. But, I always feel good about our team. We got great kids, and, nobody works harder than our kids on the ice. Hibbing, of course, little side note, Pete Hyduk did retire from coaching after, he's been at it a long time. I know he coached the boys for 15, 20 years in Hibbing, and then he was a girls coach, and I just heard through the grapevine about 2 weeks ago that he retired. I called him up and talked to him, and certainly he just left on good terms. He said the time was right, and so he's out. But it's a great section, and so I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah, and I got to talk to Pete a little bit on the radio or via the radio, doing some games, and talk about a high-class person and a coach. And it's sad to see another good one leaving because the replacements just don't seem to be fitting in. I mean, over at Hibbing, they got all kinds of issues with their boys program there too, and that's a whole nother show and a whole nother thing when probably come October or November next year we'll bring some of that stuff up. But girls coming back next year, you're pretty loaded. If you don't make the state tournament team, you will not be getting a March trip or April trip to St. Pete Beach. I've already talked to my brother-in-law about that. Who you got coming back, and who any new kids that are going to help out next year?
First of all, I think you're going to start comparing me to Bruce Boudreau or whatever his name is, who can't win in the playoffs. So, but
good point.
We lost Abby Orange, the only player we lost this year, but I got some really good forwards coming back. I have most of my scoring coming back, and all my scoring basically. Lexi Edwards and Amber Thielander, who both filled the net. They're great offensive players and actually are very good in their own end and very responsible. And of course, Lexi Erickson, who will be our captain next year, and she's a great two-way player, good center iceman, and she can score also. So, we're going to be a little green at D, but I think by the end of the year they will have some kids that are stepping up and ready to go. So
good. And Lexi Erickson, probably an extremely tough player to coach. I mean, she's nothing but problems. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Just a great kid.
Very respectful and just a great kid. And I have more trouble with her dad as my assistant than I do with her as a player. But
I'll tell you, good job, Kevin. What's his wife's name?
Jen.
The dancing machine, Jen. Yeah, they do a great job raising kids. They got like 5 or 6, and they're all very respectful, well brought up kids, and that's important. That turns you into good citizens in the future, and you're lucky to have her as your captain. But what else? Joe Mauer leading off tonight. Gerald, thoughts?
Well, first
Did
of
you
all,
know
I don't do the homework you do, so I did not know that. But it's either first or ninth. I mean, why have him bat third makes no sense. But
Well,
yeah, first or
$22
second.
million a year. He's going to bat first or ninth.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, exactly. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. I mean, the disappointing thing is looking at a guy like Dozier, who, to me, send him down to the minors. I mean, I know he can't do that. They'd have to outright him or do whatever. But he's been a big letdown. And I mean, you know what? The guys they haven't stepped up. It's been disappointing. I know I was one of the 500,000 or a million fans of Minnesota who were looking forward to a great year of baseball, and it's of course I'm dumb enough to still watch them, but yeah, it's been frustrating.
Well, they're going to go on that 32-game winning streak coming up shortly. I mean, they got the team and the staff to do it. And
If you believe in Anthony LaPantha, he'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Mr.
what bothers me most, and I brought it up on our last show, Gerald, is the attitude of some of the players when they strike out or make a mistake. It's like lethargic.
Yeah.
There's like laughter. It's like, come on, show a little passion and love and some get mad once in a while. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's accountability. That's been disappointing. I do agree with that, but I think a lot of it too is we're expecting a lot out of some young players. Rosario and Sano. And Sano's actually played pretty good the last, he started out slow, but he's been pretty good. But Rosario's really had a tough year. And, I think it's a maturity level. They're not there. And, you can say what you want. They said a lot of that was Torrey Hunter here last year that helped those guys come along. That stuff's overrated, too. I mean, you're a professional. You're getting paid a lot of money.
I know my buddy Lloyd over here will disagree with us, but he's a big Torrey. I think he lives with Torrey Hunter in the wintertime, but Lloyd's a big fan of Torrey, and I understand why, but these kids are professional baseball players. Buxton can't make a major league team right now. I wonder if he's still a top 2 prospect in the minor leagues, because he could be there another 5 years. Thoughts on him?
Byron Bucks. How many strikeouts did he have? What's his?
I think he was up like 42 times and struck out 40.
Yeah, it's
You know.
Again, I think it's one of them things where you have all the press pushing to bring these guys up. They're not ready. And will they ever be ready? I don't know. I mean, Sano, he certainly didn't have a problem stepping in, and he's been effective. Even the Park guy I've been impressed with.
Oh,
he
absolutely.
hasn't. He's hit the ball a long way, and he's actually hit some clutch hits.
You see his RBIs?
Yeah.
He's got like 7, 8 home runs, and he's got like 9 RBIs.
Well, when
it
you
just tells you the guys aren't getting on in front of him.
Right, yeah.
Rosario's and Dozier. I mean, there's a good example there. His hair looks good every game, but come on out with the hair a little bit messy and show up with whatever, some dirt on your pants. I mean, you guys got to start showing a little bit of passion. You're 8-23, Lloyd.
Yep.
I mean, what's up with that? So the Twins not doing good. Let's move over to Bruce Boudreau. I heard he was your idol growing up as a St. Paul Fighting Saint fan back when you were 10, 11 years old, Gerald. And did you know he played 30 games with the Saints?
Nope, not until the last week when I was reading all the tidbits on him. But they had to name a big name coach. I know you like to talk about recycling and the same old guys, but yeah. I think, if they would have hired a rookie coach, I think they would have got strung up by the press and certainly by the fans. I think the fans wanted a big name coach. He's certainly it. I don't know if any coach can coach Parisi and Suter, because I think you have certainly a prima donna factor going on. I think they were certainly the reason Yo's gone. I'm not going to pull any punches. That's why Yo's gone, and I know Suter did not promote bringing Torchetti back.
Nope.
I think he kind of laid an egg on him. So, I think whoever's going to coach has got their hands full. I think the biggest problem with the Wild isn't the coaching. I think the biggest problem is their leadership, their locker room. The so-called captains are not leaders. They're prima donnas who are out for themselves.
Yeah, then the problem is it's probably spread out too, Gerald. You got half the team that are so-called leaders, all married with kids. Then you got the Coyles, Zuckers, Granlunds, and all them are kind of a younger group, and they kind of, want to, go over to Sneaky Pete's after the game and what have you. But I think it's kind of a group that probably doesn't get along. But if anybody can do it, Bruce Boudreau, he'll set rules, and if players don't play by him, they're probably going to be sitting. Thoughts on it? Andrew Shaw, Chicago Blackhawks, or Kyle Oposo, New York Islanders? Which free agent would you rather have?
Well, I love Shaw. I just think he brings a lot to the table. He brings a little bit of an edge. Okposo, do we need another soft kid from Minnesota playing for us? I like Okposo. He's a good two-way player. Don't get me wrong, but I like Shaw. I think they need some guys with an edge, and that's
a little bit sandpaper.
Yeah,
grit.
Sandpaper, whatever you want to call it. But I like the kid. He's tough, and he's a gamer.
Yeah, and the only problem with Shaw is he is restricted, so if the Wild did get him, they would have to trade for him and then give up a bounty, probably $6 million per. I have a prediction they will be buying Vanek out for the $7.5 million cap space they have. They would have to pay about $2.1 million for the next 2 years to get him off the books, but I think it makes sense. Your thoughts?
That's an easy decision. I think you cut loose and let him go. I think him and Martin Havlat, and who else have we had?
Heatley.
Danny Heatley. Oh yeah, there's another one. We bring these guys in, and they're, we like to bring them in when they're on the downward slide instead of getting them when they're on the upward. That's the one thing with Oposo is he there? He's slipped the last few years in goals, not a lot, but he's pushing 30.
Yeah, and he's going to demand probably $5 to $5.5 million per, probably a 4 to 5 year deal. Don't know if the Wild's going to go down that road. You have a good point. It kind of looks like a Pominville situation to me, and I think Pominville saved his spot with his playoff performance. And he played better. I think he played well with Holla and Nino Niederreiter, and I think the Wild do have to make a splash, a little bit of one in the free agent market. Not a lot out there, but it should be an interesting offseason. We got Boudreau who's going to come in and take over the reins. You got Fletcher, probably 1 year left to show that he can do something, and let's hope and pray that Bobby Mason gets kept on the Bruce Boudreau payroll, and I don't see why they would change that. He's been able to get along with every goalie the Wild have brought in, and they brought a lot of different ones.
They've had a lot of them.
What else? Basketball? Do you care?
No.
Me neither. We're going to move on to bigger and better things. Playoffs tonight. We got one game. Who is it? Pittsburgh?
No, there's two games.
Two games. St. Louis plays Dallas.
Yep.
Who's going to win that? Game 6 in St. Louis.
I think St. Louis wraps it up. Dallas, their goaltending issues are really, really showing up. I think they did in the Wild series. I think the Wild just weren't deep enough to finish that series off. But certainly the goaltending, if Dallas had any goaltending, I think they would have swept the Wild. And I think that's the problem tonight. I think St. Louis, I think with one guy that I'd like to see the Wild go after would be Backus. I think he would be a good addition because I think they need some more depth up at the center ice, but I don't know if they will or not, and I don't know how he probably is asking a little too much for what he's worth too, because he's in that 32, 33 age bracket, so he's on the downward slide. But no, I think Dallas wins tonight, or St. Louis wins tonight and finishes them off. I like St. Louis, and
who's the other game? Over in the West, Nashville, they're at home against, I think Nashville's played really well in this series. They're down 3-2, but they will be at home tonight against San Jose. Thoughts on that?
I think San Jose wins that one too. I think that one's over tonight, but that's just me. San Jose's actually, I like that team right now. I think they're playing with a lot more purpose than they have in the past under their old coach. I think DeBoer does a nice job. He gets a lot out of that group. And I like San Jose.
Okay, I like Nashville tonight. Then it'll be interesting watching Game 7. Both teams have won all their games on home ice in that series. So San Jose's won 3 at home, Nashville's won 2. So me and Gerald are going to bet 1,000 pennies on that game for tonight. And
How much is that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
$10. Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, what else is going on? Mill shut down. Right? Boy,
That's not sports.
Boy, everything just shuts right down. I mean, I hear it from everybody. I mean, God bless all you guys that work in Boise. But man, it's like I asked Gerald what he's doing for the fishing opener. He just gives me that serious look. Oh, mill shut down. I said, oh, jeez, you better shut everything down then. What are your thoughts on that? No comment.
No thoughts.
I'll be able to keep my mouth shut. I got a lot of people out there that know
I
me.
do have a question.
Yeah, I like questions.
Okay, high school or sports participation, is it reflective of increased costs? Have the costs for the students or kids taking part in the different sports gone up in the last 10, 15 years? And my other question is this a similar, what you're experiencing up here in the fall, similar to other areas in the state of Minnesota and nation?
Wow.
Those are very good questions. I think money, I don't think it's more expensive if you figure in inflationary differences and stuff. I think, certainly up here with hockey, our ice is free here basically, so that it's real actually reasonable for a kid to play hockey. As far as other communities, yes, especially girls hockey, this is not just a thing going on up here. They really reached a high peak, and now there's a lot of programs struggling, and I know Bemidji's one that's their numbers are struggling in the youth levels, and it's not just here. So
Great question. Thank you. Thank you. Concussions in girls or both?
All sports.
All sports,
can I answer that?
Yeah.
Here's my deal on that. There's more concussions in soccer than there is in girls hockey. So, here's the deal. Everybody's pushing soccer as a big sport. Don't get me wrong, soccer is a great sport, but it's very concussion prone to play that sport because when you head the ball, you're always wrapping your head. It's constant.
So you kind of get that flavor of humor when people say, Mama of Johnny says, well, I'm not putting my son in football. I'm going to put him in soccer. Well, probably all sports are going to be physical on the head, and unfortunately, that's what these contact sports are.
It's certainly our job to teach the kids to play safer, though, because that's always been an issue. I think is coaching is certainly how to hit, and I think that's come a long way, but it's got a ways to go. And it's number one, it is our job to protect our kids. So yeah, that is an issue.
Great. What else?
I don't know what else.
So fishing, what are you hearing? What are the big reports? People going to the river, I heard?
Well, I'm glad I'm working this weekend for the outage because it's about 40 degrees for a high. I wouldn't be out there anyway.
And I have no boat. I sold my boat. I'm in the market for a pontoon. So if you have a really nice pontoon that you haven't used very much and that has a 90 horse and 22 foot of fun and entertainment for $8,000 and it has to be 3 years old or less, give me a call immediately.
Wow.
I want your boat. So
I'll give you.
Is there any of those boats out there, you think?
I'll give them 9,000.
Okay. You have any questions, sir? What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin, okay, thanks for showing up, Kevin. I'm not sure you're here to watch us, but appreciate you showing up. So the fishing opener, I talked to Dave Peterson. He said he's heading down the river. I don't know, Dave. Do you even know how to fish the river? I don't know. I usually get on here and bash Dave a little bit, but he's a good man. He runs a local establishment here. You think Dave will catch anything in the river?
Yeah, Dave will catch fish. He's very good at what he does. He plies his trade. Him and they like to talk on the radio with Chopper and.
Jeez.
At
least when we get on, Jer, we're speaking 100% the truth. That's what we do.
But they're talking fishing. You don't ever tell the truth when you fish.
Good point.
That's the difference.
I wish Dave would tell less people where to go because he tells me some spots to go to. Well, I thought I was his only friend that he told that to. So I show up there, and there's like 22 boats sitting there, and I'm going, Peterson? Yeah, he told us to come here too. While he's fishing another whole part of the lake that he's really nailing them at, and he's got 22 friends sitting on the same reef out in the middle of nowhere. But Dave's a great man and a great ambassador for our fishing here in the Rainy Lake area. And anytime you need a tip, head over to the local food restaurant over by the mall, and he'd be willing to share any fishing tip for you for the opener. Other than that, Gerald, any more questions from the audience? Leona, we're good?
Good.
And we're going to call it a show. It's, again, Back Talk with Boly and Ringer, but tonight it's Back Talk with Boly and Boly. And we'll call it a night. Thanks for showing up.